Hello and welcome to this video, which is comprised of clips from 2 days, one cloudy and grey, the other bright and sunny, both exploring the same section of river and canal, and culminating in a visit to a friend who's been building a forge in a community garden from recycled scraps of anything he could find. But first things first, the geese and ducks are hungry. So, canal up here, river down there, and the road beyond which crisscrosses over the river backwards and forwards as they both wind their way up the valley. Made a new friend who lives on one of the canal barges. In the absence of knowing his name, I shall call him Dog. Yes, Dog, your stick. Very nice stick it is. Would you like me to throw it away again? No? Okay, enjoy. Tasty stick. I don't think I'll be able to get down to that beach today, but this little one might have a few things to find. And the first little find is some blue and white with cherries on top. I'm gonna look and see and bring you back when I find something interesting. There is river glass here, surprisingly polished. Must be all the rocks. And Dog has found his stick again. Yes, very nice stick. Can I have it? No? Okay. I'll have to look for one of my own. Just spotted this. Cobalt blue glass. And I've never seen it like this before. Broken at this end, so it was probably longer. Is it a giant stirring rod or something else entirely? A tangle of wires and cloth and who knows what. A phone charger sitting next to a phone. I shall try to extract some of the plastic and the wires. This is probably not great footage, so... Can you see it? Spoon! They have a use for this. I'm going to use it as a cathode in electrolysis removal of rust off of interesting things I find. Like perhaps this, which looks a bit shackle-like and is probably nothing anywhere near that interesting, but might be good to practice on. Part of a fishing pole. Aluminium by the looks of it. Looks interesting, but is it? Not really. Something out of an engine, perhaps. This little beach hasn't been particularly great. Fingers crossed it gets better. Into the tunnel, which is under a road, which in turn is under a railway line. I can just about see light from where I came in, and almost out now. Huge piece of concrete here with a girder stuck in it. Flood must have brought it here. Oh, looks like a backpack. It's caught up in this clump of plastic and plant fibres and torn up cloth, and it's being a pain. Probably not worth the effort. Let's see if I can open it. Yeah, just as I suspected. Sand. And sand in there too. I think it's otherwise in good condition, so I might take it. I wear food backpacks quite quickly. See if I can do anything about the plastics as well. Some pretty heavy-duty flood defences here. And if there's a pie pan caught up in it, there's probably more things to find among the rocks. Nothing so far but plastic. And a drinks can and... oh, looks like a freshwater mussel shell. That's a good sign that even though there's trash in it, the river's fairly healthy. Unless, of course, they're in the canal. This is a spot where the canal overflows into the river. I see a plug and a wire. Oh, and the base for a kettle. A nice find. It'll probably have braided copper wire inside, and that's something I need more of for a craft project. I mentioned the railway that goes over the road, which goes over the river. It goes over the canal too. And it's a pretty construction. Nothing else quite like it around here. Or at least, none that I've found. In case you're wondering why I'm filming the geese again, it's because I've still got seed to give, and they make me smile, they make me laugh. They're beautiful and they're ridiculous, and for a few parts of my existence quite so happy as when I'm feeding the birds. This is the top part of the spillway, which I approached yesterday from the riverside after the tunnel. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. It's a private lot in a bit of a mess. Might have been a dumping ground of sorts in the past, but it looks like it's been levelled into something approaching a car park now. I shall get down to the river again when I can and bring you back if I find anything good. There's a few things down here to investigate, but only one that made me make the effort. It wasn't this stainless steel ring. I'll take it, might have a use for it. Tiny little beach, tiny piece of pipe stem. And a tiny glass marble. This is what I came for. It's either a lost childhood toy or a sign that there might be a dump site eroding into the river. Either way, I'm happy to have spotted it. Now what else is here? Bit of glass. Bit of construction waste. Stainless steel can be recycled. And the well-worn, quite lovely top of an old vintage bottle. Certainly looks like a bit of dumping went on around here. Lots of wire and a big pile of rusted things. I'll be back for this. Now let's see if anything interesting has fallen off the land and into the river. Nope. No idea. Know what that is though. A little milk glass pot. A painter clean, but I'll take it. And what's that? Oops, I think it's an electrical insulator. Ceramic, chunky, quite a cool find. I might be able to do something with it. That's interesting. Looks like what? Brass and wood. A table leg perhaps, partly rotted away. An old piece of a peg leg. Any other ideas? And a bit more of this thick cobalt blue glass rod. Here the road crosses the river again, and there's a much older structure here. Looks like an outlet stream for a mill which is long gone, one I don't think I've read about, and this might be the only remaining physical evidence that it ever existed. If I had a better light with me, I'd consider exploring it, even though it's probably collapsed not far in. A monkey wrench. A bit too rusted and a bit too heavy for me to take. First vulcanised rubber bottle stopper of the day. And on this side of the bridge it seems to be either allotments or one big garden, but possibly built on top of a place that people once dumped things. I think there's somebody working in the garden, so I'll try to be quiet and unobtrusive. The floodwaters have left quite a mess. Scrap aluminium, might take it. A little rusted shovel, sad condition. A bit more aluminium and the sole of a shoe. Doesn't actually look very old. A little insulator. I like the shape of these. Lots of wire here. This might belong in the garden, and it would be a shame to let it rot in the river. Doesn't look like there's much else of interest. I'll bring you back if I find anything. I passed this spot the other day and I missed this then. It's a coin. Not a special coin in itself, but special in that it's the first coin I found while mudlarking. 2 pence. Still legal tender, very much spendable, but there's not much that I could buy with 2 pence. But I think I'll keep it as a memento of an enjoyable day. Nearly at the community garden, but there's this bit. Horribly messy, but I think it used to be another spillway from the canal to the river. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Lots and lots of wire here. And that looks interesting. Oh, I recognise this. It's a homemade speed limit sign that somebody put up on a blind corner of the road years ago. Probably a decade or more since I've seen it. I think I'll take it. So a bit of plastic, lots of wire, pottery, some river glass. I'll look around. Looks like a shotgun shell. Maybe not. A toy car. Land Rover Discovery, I think. An early version, missing almost everything. Bones and pottery, and I still don't know how to determine the age of most of it. A plate edge with geometric pattern, not a bad find. Glass handle off the top of... Is it? It is. A Kilner jar lid. A bit beaten up, but a pretty colour and I'll take it. Never know, might find a beat up Kilner jar to go with it one day. That's a nice piece of blue and white. A full cherry tree in a Japanese garden. Onwards to the next corner and the last group of little beaches before a weir. Can it be? Of course. I haven't found many in as poor condition as this one, but I haven't had many mudlarking outings without finding one either. A paste jar. Shippums. Depressing mess of plastic. Too much to put much of a dent in today. Oh wow, it's another piece of glass rod, clear this time. Looks like it might have been melted at this end, so raw material for bottles maybe? Any other ideas? Bit, merge, Halifax. Nice piece, I'll take it. Another bit of glass rod, not quite cobalt blue, this is more like the colour of the look of magnesia bottles. Here's the homemade, handmade, still very much a work in progress, but already functional forge. And some of the scrap steel and iron I found in the river, which I brought along for Davy to practice blacksmithing with. That's a hand-cranked air pump, and a coke fire, capable of softening and even melting steel. One of the pieces I brought and didn't film finding is this. I didn't know it at the time, but it's part of a suspension spring, either from a really early car or a horse-drawn carriage. Might be one of the finds of the day. And now, like hopefully a lot of the things I find, it will be made into something new. Mudlarking now on my way home on the other side of the river. Just one short section that looked interesting from across the river on the canal bank, inaccessible. This is an interesting design, part geometric, part plant life. Not sure if it's from a bowl or a vase. And looks to be a cow tibia. Don't think I want to take that. Oh, another bit of cobalt blue glass rod. I've never found them before, and I've mudlarked many times on this river, downstream. Some milk glass. An uncommon milk glass jar, the first one of this size and shape that I found. Still has some form of a lid on it. No branding that I can see, nothing but numbers on the bottom. Iron bar, thought it might be another glass rod. Sorry, got distracted. Milk glass, yes, taking it. And just as I was about to leave, I spotted this. It's the longest glass rod I've ever found while mudlarking, and I think it's got a hint of blue in it, although it is very nearly black. Looks melted at one end again. Roundup time. And first I'll express the hope that it wasn't too disjointed or confusing putting clips from 2 days together in one video. It's the first time I've done that, and hopefully the last, because it made editing harder, and it seems to me that the resulting video isn't as good as if it was just one day's explorations. I'm sorry if that's so. So as usual, I picked out some river glass, the project list for which grows. I picked out some interesting pieces of pottery, and one day I hope to learn how to identify them all. I've started learning, I've a long way to go. I found 2 bits of old alcohol jars or stoneware bottles, both with fragments of the words spirit merchant, probably missing wine. I haven't found a match yet, but it's certainly interesting looking back through records and finding out that for much of the 19th century, wine and spirit merchants far outnumbered medical professionals in Halifax, but were equalled in number by hat makers. Useless things to find out, perhaps, but fun. As can be guessed from the shape, this is generally known as a donut insulator, and it predates this design, although they are used in an almost identical manner. Donut ones are still used, but I haven't managed to find a picture of one quite so big as this. I don't know yet, but I might see if I can put a clock in the centre, if I can find one that looks right. This thing doesn't look all that special. It's a bit of wood and a bit of brass, but the brass is fairly crude with a wonky edge, and the wood is a hardwood, possibly mahogany, which is an odd mix. While I was looking up the insulator on Google Images, I stumbled upon a picture of something that looked quite similar to this. Not exactly so, but quite similar, enough to be intriguing, which was a wooden pattern piece in the Juneau Museum in Alaska, used in the early 20th century in the mining and foundry industries. Now, I'm not saying that this is one of those. There is a mining machine factory, a large one, less than 2 miles upriver from where I found this, but there were also a lot of cloth mills, so it could be something from that, or something else entirely. Any ideas? The marble was certainly a nice thing to find, though ultimately not all that interesting. It probably wasn't an indicator of a long-lost dump, and probably isn't all that old. The coin too, good to find, but 1986 is not a particularly fine vintage. I think this innocuous little thing is probably a knife sharpening stone. It's man-made and has a seam down one side, so composite stone? Or any other suggestions? I'm glad I decided to explore a little bit on my way home. I found my first one of this design of milk glass jar, and the biggest example of these strange glass rods. The light isn't bright enough today to show, but there is a blue tint hidden in the blackness of this. I'm not certain what they were, but my best guess is that they were raw material in the bottle making process. There is a hint of melting around some of the non-shattered ends. If someone knows for sure, either way, I'd be very interested to learn. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have or if you haven't, please like, dislike, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, critique, share, donate, buy, ignore, whatever you think is appropriate within your comfort level. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.